welcome to my first video. Yeah, I'm going to do those videos now. So by the end of this video, you should understand what philosophy speaks about self-help and how you can better deal with the problems of life. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to give very practical examples in a very different way. I hope it helps. I'm doing this for myself as well because life has been kind of fucked up last couple of weeks, I think, for everyone. And yeah, this helps me a lot. I think it's going to help other people. So just a context if you're new, what I do, I've read all these books, as you can see here. They're all philosophical books. They are still very ancient. The most modern one is like Aquinas. It's still very old. But I read all these books the last 6 years, and for each one of those philosophers, I've built a formula that summarizes everything that this philosopher said in his books. It's kind of a hobby of mine. So you can see like Plato, Socrates, everything that he says, and I put reference under it. And after I created a formula for each philosopher that I've read, I mix them all up to create formulas by topic. So self-help, humans, relationships, politics, mind, death, and I mix all those philosophers in those formulas here. And today I want to dive into self-help. And yeah, it's going to be really cool. You'll see. So first, those are the colors for each reference that you see if you want to pause and have a look. Yeah, whenever you see a sentence with a color like this, it's from this person. I don't know why they're so big here. I'll adjust this later. So yeah, let's start with self-help. As a very basic thing, self-help is based on choices, on the choices you make. And it's there because, as you can see here, people are inconsistent. So you can be okay now, and in 3 hours you can be devastated, or you can be depressed, melancholic. It's never rest. It's a constant wave of emotions, feelings, and stress and uncertainties. That's the life we have. And those philosophers found a way to deal with this. And they found formulas, they found concepts, they found better ways to deal with the unfortunates of life. And I'm going to dive into those things now. As you can see, this color is from Epictetus. He said all those things, just to see how it works. And in this sphere of choice, I divided into things. So things that are not in our power and things that are within our power. So what I mean with that is, if your dad dies or your mother, that's something that's not within your power to choose. It's a happening and you just have to deal with it. And afterwards I'll tell how to deal with that, how those philosophers found a way to deal with that. But now I'm going to dive into the choices that we have power to deal with it. So it's like anger or frustration or depression or something within yourself. You can choose to not do that. And that's what I'm going to dive into now. I put some photos next to it, like art pieces because I think I talk too much and on those formulas, and maybe it gets boring, so you can look at those art pieces. I put many of them, so yeah. And inside the sphere of things within your power, I divide again into things. One is about you and about others, how to deal with others and how to deal with you. On this video, I'm just going to focus on within your power and you. So let's go through that. The first thing that we dive here into is what changes you put in yourself to. That's the first concept that brings the choices that's the first concept that I want to reflect on. It's what limits do you put yourself in. and what holds yourself back. What does usually in a relationship there is maybe a bad relationship, a boyfriend holds you down, or maybe a toxic friend. So try to reflect now just the things that hold you down, that really put chains on you. That's a way to start knowing yourself a bit better. Like, okay, maybe people are holding me back, but I think the most important thing right now is know yourself. That's the most cliche thing in philosophy. It's everywhere in the Temple of Delphi, and it's everywhere. Know thyself, know yourself, know yourself. But how do you do that? And that's the process I hope to dive into now. Um, First, you need to understand your needs. I'm going to show a bit better how you do that, and value the right things. That's just a thing that I took from a book. Doesn't make much sense. Uh, but all those things, to understand your need and value the right thing, you get from an internal conversation. And that the philosopher who brought that was Marcus Aurelius. He had a technique of writing his journal and reflecting upon himself. And there are many ways that you can start this conversation within yourself. You can literally talk to the mirror, you can make videos, you can write, but it's important that you talk with yourself when you're in a bad moment, or when you're in an euphoric moment, or when you feel you have done something wrong. Be a good friend to yourself. Like, sit down, understand your needs, and try to reason upon the best thing how to deal with that, and value the right thing. So understand the right thing you need to do, and let reason not cause pain to itself. So by knowing yourself, try to reason upon what could bring you relief, and don't just make reason seek for like a quick happiness, because that's just a quick way also to the pain, for the pain to come again. So like, if you're depressed, maybe a drink of alcohol is the quickest way, and it's not going to solve the problem. So it's actually funny, because one of the Stoic philosophers, I think it was Seneca, he said actually there is a right amount of alcoholism that it's actually healthy. So yeah, do what you want with this information. And that's something I rewrote from, I think that's Plato or Aristotle. So know thyself enough to know of what you don't know. So that's actually be more genuine. Like, don't, that's a more way how to deal with your ego, maybe, because if you portray yourself as knowing everything, it's probably not true. So you should know yourself better to know of that of which you don't know. So it's just a more genuine way of looking into yourself, and hide nothing from yourself. Like, that's really cool, because this who said it was a Stoic, and then we dive into Dostoevsky, who said that the lie always leads to the truth. And I think that's beautiful, because if you lie to yourself, you're going to find the truth, and that's not the truth that maybe you wanted to. I'll give you an example with don't lie to yourself, hide nothing from yourself. If you say you want to be an artist and paint this masterpiece here, it's not possible, but yeah, paint this painting here. You're going to say, you know what? I'm going to paint every day for 5 hours for 1 month. You're hiding. You're lying to yourself. You're doing this. You're lying to yourself. And what that will bring is unhappiness and frustration and a restless impatience within yourself. So if you actually know yourself, if you are not hiding anything from yourself, and if you patiently conversate with yourself as a friend, and don't promise huge things to your friend, and just say, I am actually going to paint 10 minutes per day, or maybe every 2 days. This friend is going to be more comprehensive, and this friend is going to be less frustrated if you don't do that. So it's really just knowing how to deal with a friend, and that friend being yourself. Um, then, if you want to be the whole world, be yourself. That's another Dostoevsky reference. I think it makes sense to be here because, yeah, if you know how to, and I think the beating here is not the conversation you have within yourself, but the conversation you have with when you're angry. So when you know how to deal with this angry person, when you know how to deal with the calm person, when you knew when to deal with the depressed person, all those persons are within yourself. I think it's clear now, right? The analogy. But when you know how to beat and how to talk and how to understand each of those persons within yourself, there is literally nothing can stop you. Understand good. Just you should know what is good for you. Understand what's a good thing for you. So yeah, understand evil within, and I think this fragment is really good because it says that even though you've committed no wrong, you are capable of doing. So just understand the mindset that you're not perfect. You're capable of doing all these terrible things. I know it sounds horrible, but it's just preparing yourself and preventing yourself from doing those things. It's not like you're saying, no, I'm fucking perfect, I would never kill someone. But put yourself in the circumstances of a killer and all that he has been through and all the things that happened to him. I'm not trying to also victimize the killer, but it's just that you're capable as well. So try to reason upon yourself and try to know yourself before you do those things, because there is a capability of you doing it as well. And yeah, put a judge in front of anger. If you try to deal with this angry person that's within yourself, just understand that anger is just it's just the body dealing with pain, and it's the body pushing that thing that's hurting the body away. So just try to reflect upon it and try to reason a better way to deal with this anger and this boiling thing inside your body. And impulse to crime, I think it's a very interesting thing here. Dostoevsky brings about the extraordinary person and the ordinary person, where he reflects, saying that the extraordinary person, like Napoleon, could kill thousands, and the ordinary person, like myself, cannot kill anyone. Otherwise, I'm an assassin. Why can Napoleon kill thousands and I can't? So that's the reflection he brings, and I thought it was just an interesting reflection to make. What power brings, right? Because it gives you immunity. And most important, okay, virtue, I'm going to dive later in another video, but fear the habits. Holy shit, like habits. If you start doing something wrong every day, fear it. Don't. Know the habits you have and reason upon it. See if they are good enough. And yeah, then another thing on your actions. Yeah, that's reflect on your actions as well, in a sense of what comes before and after it. Don't just act and reflect upon it. One thing that, I don't know if I already said it, it's everything happens for a reason, right? That's the cliche saying, but I disagree with that. I think everything happens and you should reason upon it. So that's the concept being here. I don't think you need to do with this everything like you order food in a restaurant. You don't need to reflect on the action and all of that. But if there is someone you value, if there's someone you care about, and you see that this moment is important for that person, you should value and you should reflect on your action talking with that person, and not only what's before you're saying, but also in the after you're saying. Not that easy though, because we are not every time patient to think about these things. So if you're not in the moment to reflect on those things, maybe you should not say anything. Recollecting past actions. Look at those. So that's an interesting fragment. That's just bring back the way your actions you acted previously, And it's just a beautiful way to reflect on your actions, reflect as if they were dreams and not you in just dreams, you know, and reflect on it, see if you can learn something from it, and every time you're going to get a bit better. Here I focus more on Hermann Hesse fragments. There is an interesting thing. He reflects how would intelligence be if you focus on doing and not doing. That's I think back to what we said before, and he said also you should always conquer the world through your thoughts, something we already said before. So you see the repetition of a process in those huge minds we already read. So yeah, reflecting, and here is more reflection of life well lived, and that's, I think it's just gratifying to know that even programmatic a guy like Hermann Hesse, who was a Nobel Prize winner and so perfect with his words, and yeah, a masterpiece. He wrote many masterpieces, and he says you have to make mistakes and suffer, because that way you learn and you get back to the gratifying feeling. So it's just interesting to see that he also did mistakes. I had, as you can see here as well, I had to suffer a lot in my life. I had done a lot of injustice, a lot of stupid and bitter things had gotten to me, but again and again I had managed to redeem myself. So I think that's almost like the essence of us, because we are destined to do bad choices sometimes, and we are destined to do injustice and to suffer, but we need to know how to redeem ourselves. We fucking need to know how to put ourselves back up and value ourselves, because we need to be a good friend to ourselves. I think that's the concept that's here, because if you just let go, if you just don't care, you're going to dive, and you're going to dive deep into an ocean without any values, and you're going to be lost there. You're going to be lost in this darkness. That's why I think it's so important to have this conversation within yourself and to redeem yourself every time you are learning, every time you do a mistake, and the inevitability of doing a mistake. That's the magic of having a mind, because you can create a good friend for yourself. You can be a good friend to yourself. Now know your weakness. That's, I think, very important as well. Know your own illness. That's from the Little Prince. I thought it was cool. I drink because I'm sad. I'm sad because I drink. So know what makes you weak, and just know yourself. You know, it's back to the know yourself part. Every stage of illness is treated with rest. So that not every stage of illness is. I think it's just what is the symptoms of what you're having. Have you been through a breakup? Have you lost someone? There are symptoms to that. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel worthless. So know the symptoms and treat it. Maybe visit a good friend, and you get that will understand you better and make you feel better. Maybe just go for a trip. Maybe start something new. Maybe watch a movie, or just respect that you have symptoms and they are inevitable. Don't hide from them. They will come and they will go for some time, and then you will have rest again. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that I saw, how to deal with crowds. If you need to do a presentation, probably not now because of Corona, but if there are many people around you, you should remember herds of horses and cattle, and how delightful it is to see many birds flying or many horses running, and why should it be fine to have a lot of humans in front of you? They're just humans, just animals. That's actually it for this episode. I think at the end, what we can understand from this, from what we've read, from what we saw here, is you should know yourself, be a friend to yourself, and embrace yourself, to the unfortunates of life. Be the best friend you can be to yourself, and things dealing with life will get easier. I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect journey, but I think it's going to be easier. It's just easier when you know how to deal with yourself. Yeah, that's it. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I'll do this sort of every week. I don't know. And I want. I don't know. Bye.